So Jake Guentzel, the last time we checked in with you guys during SportsCenter, maybe about a half an hour ago, it sounded like it was happening to Carolina, but wasn't 100% confirmed. Where are we?
Yeah, it's where he's going to end up at the end of the night. There's still some final details to be worked out between the Carolina Hurricanes and Pittsburgh Penguins. Of course, both teams are playing tonight, which also is another complicating factor. But what our understanding is that both teams are pretty much at the 5-yard line here, working to finalize this trade. Michael Bunting is part of it, which is why he was scratched tonight by Carolina, but obviously it's a multi-asset package that would be heading Pittsburgh's way. And again, because they're both playing tonight, all signs point to having a post-game trade call with the National Hockey League once they finalize this. But again, all signs point to the number one guy on trade bait board heading to the Carolina Hurricanes, a team, by the way, that's been criticized a lot the last few years for not going big on these guys at this time of year.
Yeah, and a bit of a sigh of relief, I think, from the teams in the West. Somewhat surprising is the fact that the Vegas Golden Knights, who have done a lot this week, right? The acquisition of Anthony Mantha through the Washington Capitals, the big trade with the Calgary Flames acquiring Noah Hannafin. But the Vegas Golden Knights, even though belief is that they may still add a forward, kind of stayed at arm's length with Jake Guentzel and the Pittsburgh Penguins. So the Vegas Golden Knights, the Edmonton Oilers, the Colorado Avalanche, less so the Vancouver Canucks, because we know Vancouver was keenly interested in Jake Guentzel. Those Western Conference teams are send him to Carolina.
Well,
didn't want him in the West.
And there is some fallout, though, in Vancouver, right, where Elias Lindholm had found himself in some trade talks because if Vancouver had got Guentzel, they were probably sending Lindholm out perhaps in a deal to Boston. Well, that's no longer happening. I think it's safe to say Lindholm will remain in Vancouver through the deadline unless there's another curveball coming our way. But I do think the Canucks aren't necessarily done. They've been in on Jason Zucker. Obviously, they were a team that liked Guentzel, and so maybe we'll see them try to at least add one more piece before the deadline.
I think that's one of the intriguing things about deadline, because you guys are so good at your job that we get these awkward situations like Lindholm will have it now in Vancouver, and it's been awkward for a bit now with Jacob Markstrom in Calgary when he never wanted his name to surface when he has a no move. It surfaced in the talk with the Devils, and it's still out there a bit.
Yeah, imagine how awkward it will continue to get if this drifts into the offseason, right? He's got the full no-move clause. I still think that Tom Fitzgerald and the New Jersey Devils want to make at least one more attempt here, but they feel like they've been fairly strong in showing interest in Jacob Markstrom. Appreciably, the Calgary Flames still think that they've got a shot at a playoff spot in the West. They don't have a shot at a playoff spot in the West if they trade Jacob Markstrom. But the problem is Markstrom has been through the ringer here in the last several days because he thought a deal was done to go to the Devils. He waived. So now if they don't trade him in Calgary and it drifts to the summer, he's got the full no move. What if he says, all right, Calgary, I'm not going through this again. I want to be traded and I want to go to one team, and that's the New Jersey Devils. We'll see.
Tyler Toffoli, speaking of the Devils, have they made he's been held out tonight for their games, so does that mean he definitely moves before 3 Eastern?
You can't say 100% because I think one of the things Tom Fitzgerald has told teams is, yes, we're listening, yes, we may trade him, but we have a certain price point where it's like we're not just getting rid of him because he's a UFA July 1st. Remember, the Devils just made a coaching change because they think they can still somehow get into this playoff race, so not 100%, but no question in my mind that some of the teams that were in on Guentzel have also kept tabs with New Jersey and Tyler Toffoli. All that does is score.
And there's still going to be a bit of action here across Canada. I think the Winnipeg Jets are a team to watch in terms of adding maybe a depth forward, maybe defense too. We'll see what happens there. Ottawa, of course, has had some interest in Jacob Chychrun. I think Eric Brandstrom, there's been a pickup in interest in him here in the last 24 hours. And the Montreal Canadiens are sitting back waiting. A lot of the guys they would have to sell have an extra year on their deal. They're not expiring contracts, but they're open for business if something picks up by Friday.
You know, I was asking / pleading Kyle Dubas just to sleep on it with all these suitors. Sleep on it, make a decision in the morning. And so if you're just tuning in or having dinner tonight, it looks like Jake Guentzel is going to Carolina. And